Okay, let's redo
No,
it.
no. I think it's fine.
Okay.
It's quirky.
Okay, then we keep it quirky.
we keep it. Okay.
The art of mixing is being able to recognise when you've got a matching bass line or complementary tracks. Like BeatSync just takes the fun out of it. The fact that I could play on a really loud sound system and that like I had my name on the lineup just like was really awesome. SoundCloud's sort of shuffle function is unbelievable because if you play a song that you like, SoundCloud will just recommend a song that's like other people have downloaded or other people like, and that can send you like down a massive rabbit hole.
Where in UK should I go if I want to party hard? Everybody, welcome to our up and coming podcast where we talk all things electronic music with our amazing guests who've seen there and been there and seen it all. It's me, Nastya, and Luke, your up and coming podcast host.
Yeah.
Your up and coming host. Okay, let's redo it.
No. I think it's fine.
Okay.
It's quirky.
Okay, then we keep it quirky.
we keep it. Okay.
Okay, so our guest today is
Tom.
Hello. Thanks for coming. It's been a very rainy day for sure. Very sad day. Okay, let's get to it. Because you DJ.
Yep.
You DJ.
Wait. No, let Tom introduce himself.
Okay.
Tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Tell us, yeah.
Sure. So I'm Tom. DJ alias is Edmo. Not too inventive. It's just the 4 letters of my last name. I've been at Cambridge for 3 years. I study law, which is pretty boring. Hence the DJing as a bit of an escape. I've DJed for about 2 years now. Picked it up at the end of my first year. Aside from that, I play football. Just sort of out and about in Cambridge.
Nice. So, like, how you started DJing then? What's your story?
So it's quite a funny one. So I'm from Essex, where sort of everyone and their nan owns a set of decks at some point in their life. For some reason, everyone just as a Christmas present at some point just got a set of decks, but I never got one. And a couple of my mates had them, and I went round to their house, and they hadn't had them for very long. So all they knew how to work was the echo button, and so we just sit there and like build up to a drop an echo, and then just cut the echo, which is sort of the beginning. And I was getting really frustrated because whenever we wanted to play a new song, we'd pause it and then load another one. So I thought I really want to know how to actually do this properly. Went out that day, went to Argos, bought my trusty DDJ 400s, which I still have today. And yeah, that was the start of it. And over my first year summer, I didn't really have anything to do. So I was a bit of a loser, sat in my room for 5 hours a day, learned how to do it, just religiously beat matching. And yeah, that was the start of it.
The 400s are really... What a great piece of equipment, honestly.
Unbelievable, especially the way they like emulate the CDJ so well, like all compressed and all like quite affordable.
Yeah, they have all the necessary components, really. So it's an
100%.
amazing piece of equipment to start with.
Yeah.
It feels like everybody started on 400s. Like, at least most of the people we've interviewed, and including me as well, 400s.
Well, now there's a new wave. So they've stopped making the 400s.
Oh, yeah,
they've got the FLX 4s. My friends got them. The only thing I don't like is the smart effects button. Like you can press a button where it just loads effects for you. Like you don't have to do anything.
Okay.
And it will cut it on the drop. But I think it sort of takes the realism out of DJing.
Oh my god, it's like a new
AI DJing.
like it's like AI DJ. It's like
Yeah, I've
sync
seen
but
it.
worse. I mean, if the debate around sync is so heated,
yeah.
imagine the
Yeah.
debate around the smart kind of
Wait, before we
smart
move on,
effects.
what's your opinion on sync, quickly?
Get rid of it. I'm not... See, the thing is, I understand people who say that it's because of the difficulties of the DDJ 400, especially in matching BPMs, that the sync is an easy and quick fix to press it. And then if you're using it for BPM matching and you're in a tight squeeze, fine. If you're using it to actually match beats, like I don't agree with it. Like the art of mixing is being able to recognize when you've got a matching bass line or complementary tracks. Like BeatSync just takes the fun out of it, and also ultimately it makes a worse DJ because BeatSync on the CDJs is a lot harder and a lot more difficult to sort of put on a track, and so you're just stunting your growth as a DJ. And I feel like when you don't have sync on, you can experiment a lot more with the tracks because sort of you have to be more precise, but also there's more room to like sort of be one beat out, because sometimes you want to be a beat out on a drop, just have that sort of like pause and then a drop. So it lets you experiment a bit with the mixing.
How do you feel about the sound wave? Because you see the sound wave anyways. Doesn't just seeing it already kind of, it's a form of cheating already, if you know what I mean. You don't do it fully by ear. You already see it, kind of.
So I when I was learning, I watched a YouTuber. I forget his name. So shout out if anyone can retrospectively find him. He always recommended putting a sheet of paper over your computer, and then like fully learning to beat match by ear. So that was how I like learned to mix. So I don't actually use sight at all. I sort of just use my ears, because on CDJs it's harder when you've got like one CDJ there, one CDJ there, to like visualize match it. I know sometimes on some consoles like they don't show it above and below, and so I guess sight matching is sort of cheating as well, but it's not always like as easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good tip. I never thought about it, actually, because when you learn, yeah, you obviously use the your laptop, so you look
Yeah.
at it all the time, so you learn by looking at it, and it becomes a part of the process.
Definitely.
But yeah, if you can cover it, and actually it would make things more challenging, but probably your growth is going to be way more steeper.
Yeah. But also like the learning curve is way, like as in you cannot DJ like for shit at the start. Like it's so hard, because when you're like learning to beat match, you don't even know how it should sound. Like I guess like now like you can hear when something's out of time. When you can't hear when something's out of time, like you're doomed to fail.
Yeah. Or how about like, I also really like seeing the sound wave, because I can see when the highs drop.
Yeah.
You know, so I can see different parts of the song very clearly.
Do you use the red, green, blue, or do you use the just the full blue?
Just the blue.
full blue. Yeah, same.
RGB.
I'm not an RGB man either.
what?
I'm not, no. I remember when we
Why?
first met and we were playing, I said, oh my God, can you make it blue? Can you make it blue? Because it just confuses
It's
me.
so
Like, I don't
much
see the point of
useful.
it.
Alphanumerical or normal keys?
Oh, alphanumerical
Yeah.
every day.
All the way.
Normal keys. I mean, I'm a bit musically trained, but it's still harder. Oh, okay. Hold up. We gone a bit off topic. So you get your 400s, amazing controller. How does it go on from here?
So I got my 400s, and obviously, like every budding bedroom DJ wants a gig. Fortunately, like I knew quite a lot of people who were involved in Ents and stuff. So Fitz College have this thing called Fitz Up, which is like they have a party once a term where like 200 people come into like a big hall, and then there's like various live bands and stuff. And my first ever gig was the warm-up set, 8 till 9 at Fitz Up. 3 people came for my set, which are the 3 people I knew
It's
at
good for
Fitz.
the opening.
Yeah.
It's a great success.
But
It's
like the
always-
feeling of like getting paid for like a gig, like especially when you just spent like 260 quid on a console, it's unbelievable. And like I didn't really care that no one was there. It was more the fact that I could play on a really loud sound system, and that like I had my name on the lineup, just like was really awesome. And then sort of from there, like I guess you gradually build a reputation. You get more gigs. Like once you've been on one lineup, they'll invite you back. I think the biggest event I played at was probably, so for Slip Disc, I did Main Stage Junction. I think 2 sets before DJ Boring, which was like quite cool.
Cool.
And then Mabel's were obviously quite a big deal here. I closed out John's Mabel, and I came on after a performer called Ivy, who's like a D&B DJ. He has like 100k on Instagram. And I was like wild meeting her and like closing after her as a student. I think there's a lot of opportunity in Cambridge to like be a DJ and express yourself, because the amount of like sort of jobs there are in the sort of industry and the range of music makes it really exciting. So I was just quite lucky that I managed to get in there and sort of built on that.
That's nice. So you've seen the scene in Essex and in Cambridge. How do they compare, would you say?
Night and day. So Essex raving is very much, and I know it's like a hated trope. It's like sportswear. So like you'll put on your like Nike Dry Fit t-shirt, you'll put on your like gym shorts, you'll go with like your sunglasses on a chain and like your water bottle, and you'll just sort of like, it's like that's the proper Essex dance move like that. Whereas Cambridge, there seems to be a bit more personality behind it. Like people are more there to like have a good time rather than like the image of going to an event. Musically very different. Essex is very tech house and house orientated. Like Chris Stussy is like #1 artist in Essex probably. Him and like Jamie Jones, Michael Beebe, they're all like the ones that people will really go to. So like you see a lot of Essex people going to Creamfields as like an example. Whereas Cambridge, I'm sure I've seen you guys speak about it, like D&B, Heavy, especially with Warning, like Warning being found in Cambridge, it's like its roots are very like D&B jungle centered.
Oh yeah, I saw that they're gonna have Andy C soon, so that's pretty exciting actually.
Yeah, it was really cool. I played at a festival where Andy C was playing last year, which is quite cool. And Mark Knight from Tour Room.
Oh yeah.
It's weird in Cambridge because the people who run the student nights also run the dance events. It's like as a student, you're going to like your like Wednesday Revs or your Sunday Lolas, which are like the like very like pop oriented nights. And the people that are selling tickets for those like have done like artist management for like Solado or like Sonny Fodera, and like are very well known in the music industry. Like I was speaking to one of the guys that runs it, and he said that like I said, oh, have you been to the new drum code? He went, yeah, but like not as like an attender. Like one of my like artist was playing there, and this is someone that's like running your like student nights in Cambridge. It's like bizarre. And he like goes to like Amsterdam for like Amsterdam dance event meetings, which is like really cool. So like in terms of like the people to know, like there are like people that are very, very well connected here, which is like really cool, like and really like exciting.
Definitely. So you also told us that you are the president of the DJ Society. Shout outs to them. Well, nothing much is actually happening this year. So, but the group chat's still pretty useful to know people. So, how did that start? How did you become president?
So it was more of like an unofficial handover. We sort of met the lads that were doing it last year at a Junction event and got quite involved with them. Myself and a guy called Cass Ashworth were sort of offered to be co-presidents at the start of the year. But I have to sort of give my shout out to Joe Garvey. I know he's been on the podcast. He is really the man that runs it all. So towards the start of the year, I did some more stuff, tried to like get in touch with like the music centre to run some stuff. But I'm less active now, being on the group chat, that Joe is like really the face of it.
Yeah. Who is the next person? Do you already know who you're gonna hand it over to?
Oh, that's interesting. There's a couple of people I'd suggest for it. There's a guy in second year who's from Luxembourg who goes by the name of HF. That's his like DJ name.
I know. Do you know him?
HF.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen. Okay,
He
interesting.
he plays like really, really good techno, and like he's like very talented, and he produces as well. So I think he'd be like a good bridge between your sort of like music service that produce music, we sort of DJ, having like a president that can do both. It'd be like a nice little connection.
It's true. It's a good combination. Because there is also a music production society, but I don't know if they do much. Like they rarely.
There's a
do
society
that.
for everything here. Like people just willing to throw money at everything.
It is true. We have a vampire society in Homerton.
Oh yeah.
So if you guys are interested, and they do events. They do events on full moon, sometimes on MCR.
Wow.
Yeah, I went to when we went. Well, I've been to Society's Fair this year, and it was like, oh yeah, there's a Pokemon Society. Why not? There's a Taylor Swift Society.
Yeah, Monaco Race Society. No, there's anything. There's anything. That's really crazy.
That's amazing. So how's it been this year for you being the president? So not much, you said.
Yeah, not too busy. I think that in terms of like my time in my life, like not a lot of it has gone towards DJ Society, almost in part because it's a self-running society. Like I see it more as like a message board where if someone needs a DJ or like there's a gig that's being advertised, they'll put it in there and say, look, if any of you are interested, like give me a message and I'll sort of like send you a mix or something, like say why you'd be good for the job. And it just sort of ensures that all the DJ roles are getting filled by the people that are interested. But I think it has about 80 members, I think 80 or 90 in the chat. A whole range of music as well, like a real spectrum, which is really good because like it just shows sort of the range of interest that people have and sort of the abilities that they can pursue. But my music time has been put more towards my sort of own event. So DJ Society took a bit of a backseat when that was sort of implemented.
Tell us a bit more about your event.
So it's called Spotlight. It was founded, I'm the 50% owner. 50% is one of the guys who runs the Cambridge Club Nights, one of like the older guys. And the aim of it was really to give people a platform to perform. This is from my own experience of sort of that first gig, like playing to like 3 people was like, I was like, okay, like it's really cool to have this platform. But I got lucky that I got given the gig because I knew the people running this big event. And so we called it Spotlight because it's sort of like shining a light on new people. We initially ran it every Friday at Revs last term, but we realised that sort of the association that people had with Revs was very much a like student night, and so that wasn't really what we were going for with brand image. And so this term we've only done 2 events. We did one event at a vintage shop called Fridge. Shout out Fridge. Love the owner, a guy called Ellis. Really, really nice guy. Sort of specialises in Italian and Japanese fashion. And so we took like inspiration from sort of the Italian house music that we knew to make like a curation event for him. That was a free ticket event. We got like loads of people turn up. And then last Friday we did an event at Claire Cellars, which is this like underground college bar. Really good vibes, very like Printworks-esque, like in terms of like it's quite tunneled and underground. Got about 150 people there, which was really cool. Raised about £400 for charity. So yeah, we're planning on doing one more event next term, and we'll reveal an exclusive promo code at the end of the episode.
Yeah, stay tuned, stay locked. So you're basically kind of the competition for us, right?
I mean, we're doing open decks. And we didn't do any open decks this term. I mean, we were supposed to do an open decks on the 8th of March. I don't know if it's going to happen. I mean, probably when this episode is going to be out, it's going to be probably past 8th of March.
We'll see.
But I guess, yeah, you guys will know if we had an event or no.
Oh, well, I don't see it as competition. I think because there's so many people in Cambridge,
yeah, exactly.
there's quite a high demand for events. And also, like, the scope and stuff, like, I see Spotlight as the only house brand in Cambridge because no one else is really doing house. Like we spoke about this before, it's so garage and it's so D&B orientated that I just wanted like a way for people to express if they liked house music. There is a market for it. Obviously not that big in Cambridge, but that sort of was the aim of Spotlight. What's your guys' like open decks? What's like the music sort of genre vibe that you guys going for?
So the first one we had, it was not curated. So it was just basically people sending us mixes, and we listened to them, and then we kind of put them in a lineup so it makes sense from lower energy to the higher energy. So it was everything. We had garage, we had house,
we had like Tomorrowland trance or something.
Oh,
yeah,
nice. Like Armin van Buuren.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it's definitely nice. I said like competition, but it's not really competition. It's always nice to see other people doing more open deck stuff, more like Spotlight stuff. Because I saw there was the Slip Disc and Murky Sonic thing going on soon, which is also nice. They're going to have like some open deck stuff.
Braden Hop Store is a great venue as well. Like they've really managed to cement a space in there. I think there's a brand called Serotonin Sessions.
Yes.
And the guy that runs that, he sort of lobbied for them to put blinds in the room to make it dark, and that was what really made it into this like really, really great space for music. And I know Maison, which is like the Cambridge label, they've done a lot of stuff in there, so that should be a really good night, I think.
Yeah, it's quite cool. It's really nice to see that Cambridge is getting more into electronic music side of things and not only classical as it always had. And also about Grain and Hop, at first I was there. I went there for like a music mixer, and I didn't see it as a venue to party at. And then I saw some videos where it was actually from a club night style, and it looks good. Like people are dancing.
Amazing how you can like transform a room like that.
Yeah, because it's just like a pub. Nothing very special, but then how they transform it was very
really impressive.
100%. So you said there's gonna be a new event soon.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. So if somebody's listening to this, can anybody like message you or sign up to
100%
become DJ? How does that work?
So I am someone who like every second of my day is spent listening to music. Which unfortunately I've developed tinnitus, which isn't the nicest condition to have, but that means that when people send me mixes and stuff, I will always listen to it. So on Instagram, my personal @ is Thomas J Edmondson, and then Spotlight @ is @Spotlight Night. Spotlight is spelled LITE rather than the traditional spelling. If you can literally just message me a SoundCloud link, a Dropbox, an email link, anything like that, I'll sort of open it, listen to it, and then get back to you. Generally, the vibe is house, tech house, and then like melodic techno. I don't really mind because there's a bit of a market for it in Cambridge. But it's meant to be like an easy listening sort of vibe where like your friends can come, they can chat, they can have a couple of drinks. They don't have to be like off their head to enjoy it. We usually say the BPM range is 120 to 135, which is sort of like quite on the lower scale. But I guess the point is that it's more smooth and about the groove rather than sort of a hard-hitting bass line set.
Right, so if people are listening,
There's
you
your
know
brief.
what to do. You know what to do.
Yeah, you know who to send the mix to. Okay, if we're talking about the music, you told us you're exclusive to you, 2 track IDs, right? We have 2.
Oh yes.
So we'll listen to one of them. Which one
have-
would you prefer to start with?
Well, we'll start with the classic. So this is a song called "Want Love" by Hysteric Ego. I have the sort of pleasure of having parents that are massively into dance music, and so my sort of toddler years were spent sort of dancing around the kitchen to sort of Ibiza 90s albums.
Lucky you.
And this song was from that sort of era, maybe a bit later. But the reason why I know it is because there is my favourite DJ ever, Nick Fanciulli, who I saw midnight at Printworks, New Year's Eve 2022 to 2023. He did the midnight set. And he recently has been teasing this sort of remix of it that he's made in his sets, teasing it for about 9 months. I keep refreshing, seeing when's it going to come, when's it going to come. Has never dropped, but as a result, I've sort of fallen in love with the original. And this is it.
Nice.
Let's hear it.
Let's give it a listen.
Do you want love? Definitely a nice tune. I wish my parents were into
No,
dance,
honestly, me too.
because they listen to a lot of like classical music. Just
Oh,
every
classical.
day.
Classical is not the worst. My parents are not into music at all.
At all.
Like they listen to what they put on the radio, you know, like Lady Gaga and stuff. So it's quite. How would you, for example, okay, let's say there's a person who has the same station as me, right? They were not really raised with surrounded by music, nor their parents are into music, nor their friends, and they really want to get into DJing and like get into knowing music and developing a taste. What would you say? What is the advice you would give to this person?
So I think being a DJ, you have to like know what you want to DJ. Like it seems self-explanatory, but you need to know like what you like, and sort of to get to know what you like, it's just about time, I think. The number one thing I'd encourage is going to festivals, I think, because I think when you go to an event, unless it's at like a Fabric or a Printworks where you have like 3 rooms, an event is always going to be a specific sort of sound. And so you're taking a bit of a risk by buying tickets because you're not going to know if you like that sound. When you go to a festival, like an electronic music festival that has like 10 stages, you can sort of walk around and figure out like, okay, like I like that, I don't like that. That sounds like cool at this time, like with these lights, but like that's only when I feel like I've got loads of energy. This is nice and I want to chill out. And then by looking up the artists that are playing on the stage, you can sort of figure out, okay, if I Google, say, Michael Beebe, it says he's a tech house DJ, I'm going to look into tech house. Or, oh, I really like Adam Beyer when I like need loads of energy. He's a techno DJ. What specifically does he does? Okay, he does like hard techno. What's the difference between hard? What's the difference between minimal? What's melodic like? What's peak time? What's driving? And then you go into all of that, and eventually you start to scope out the sort of songs you like. The best thing I've discovered is SoundCloud. And I know everyone like hates on SoundCloud. SoundCloud's sort of shuffle function is unbelievable because if you play a song that you like, SoundCloud will just recommend a song that's like other people have downloaded or other people like, and that can send you like down a massive rabbit hole. And so that was really beneficial for me starting out.
Definitely, like anybody can upload on SoundCloud, so you can get the wildest like edits and bootlegs nowhere else.
This is something else that I found so cool. So I keep speaking about Nick Fanciulli, but I love him so much. The first song he dropped of 2023 was an Insomnia edit. And for like, I had a video of it, but I couldn't find the edit for the life of me. Like, it took me till August of that year, and I was searching a lot. So 8 months later, it was a SoundCloud track which had 1.8k listens. So this like world famous DJ at Defected has gone and found this edit, downloaded the MP3, and then played an MP3 at Printworks, which is like crazy to me. And the DJ didn't even know. So I got in touch with the DJ and went, your song was played at Printworks. And he had no idea it had been played. So I sent him like the video and stuff, and he got in touch with Defected, and Defected sent him their clips. Fast forward to this year, 2023, I'm at Defected, it's 1 a.m, the same edit comes on with like 2,000, it's a different DJ playing the same edit with like 2,000 plays. One of the coolest things ever. And like obviously I sent the videos to the DJ again, and like he was like, this is unbelievable. Like, thanks so much.
But how do you feel about... Do you think those DJ, they went to his Bandcamp and they bought a track, or did they just download it from SoundCloud? Or was it not released even anywhere else?
I think what a lot of people do when they produce is they send their tracks to a mailing list. And I think high-profile DJs have access to far more things than we have access to. And there's like these pools where they'll upload their stuff onto. And I think originally when Nick Fanciulli dropped it, it was about 2 weeks after Maxi Jazz had died. So I remember there was a video of Michael Beebe dropping the original track as well. And he was the guy obviously behind Insomnia, the track. So I think that what Nick Fanciulli's done, he's gone, I really want to play sort of homage to this guy who's died, but I want to play an edit which is sort of in tune. So he's looked on this sort of record pool for an Insomnia edit and just really liked that specific one. And it just so happened that it had like very, very few listens.
Okay, so coming to that, what do you think of, because you said like, an MP3, what is your opinion on like the quality? Like, should DJs starting out try to get the flags, try to buy the flags, or should they just straight up rip it from YouTube or SoundCloud?
Yeah, do you think there is a big difference that you can notice when you DJ MP3 or like FLAC?
I think it is sound system specific. What I'd say for people starting out is that DJing is an expensive hobby, and if you're buying songs, it becomes even more expensive. If it's like a small release by like a small independent label or like a small producer, I'd always encourage to buy the track because then you're supporting them. But I think ripping it is like, it's fine when you're starting out. And like, if you're not making any money from DJing and you're just doing it for fun, like unless you're like an avid collector and you want to like collect tracks, like ripping it is completely fine.
That's good. That's good. So you talked about festivals. Are you going to any festivals this year?
Not booked any yet. Sort of the festival that I really want to go to is Houghton. That's like a very well, I don't want to say underground because I feel like that term is rinsed in sort of electronic music culture. But the idea of Houghton is every artist, the minimum length of the set is 3 hours, and they only released a set list for one of the stages. So 7 of the stages have no set list, minimum 3 hour sets. And the idea is that people are meant to follow their ears. And on some of these stages, you get some massive DJs playing, like Enzo from Fuse has played on there, Gene on Earth, Conductor's played. Oh, wow. But as in they didn't announce Conductor, it was just he was on a stage and people were there because they enjoyed the sound of what he was playing. And 3 hour sets really allow artists to experiment with like what they want to play, because I'm sure, as we know as DJs, like an hour, it might seem like a long time. When you're doing a set, that's not a long time at all.
Goes by really fast. Yeah. So what is where is this festival?
Oh, I think it's in the southwest of England, but I'm probably completely wrong. I just know that the idea of it, and I think the guy who runs it is the guy who was behind Fabric, and it's sort of about the expansion of music. A lot of people will play vinyl only sort of sets, and the phrase is used a lot, but I think it actually really is about the music rather than sort of being performative and showing everyone on social media that you're at an event.
Yeah, 100%. It seems like a really good idea, and I never thought that something like that exists. I mean, probably it should have been, but it's really nice, I think, that these events are becoming more popular and because people will go there for music, because otherwise you just don't understand what's happening. You're at random stages with random, music, definitely. DJs.
And if they don't announce a set list, it means that like smaller DJs get a chance to gather massive crowds because no one knows who they are. But if their like sound is amazing, then they're going to gather a massive crowd, and it's sort of that chance to really test who the good DJs are.
Definitely gonna look into buying tickets. That sounds such like an experience for sure. Mm-hmm. So. I like your story, how you started out and stuff. How has, like, because you study law, how does that apply to your knowledge with DJing? Does it help?
So the law that I study is sort of very, very detached from music. I think the closest I get is probably intellectual property, and sort of whether or not you can have intellectual property over a set of notes, for example. So can you trademark a 9-note sequence and stop anyone else from using it? An example would be, so like the Jaws theme tune, like the classical 2-note sequence in Jaws, that was seen to have like such a great association with the film that people couldn't separate the identity of the notes from it, and therefore it's protected. But like sort of, if you want like a music law fun fact, back in the 90s when the UK government was trying to stop illegal raves, they passed a law which prevented, I think, over 7 people gathering in a confined space where music was being played over 120 BPM or maybe 130. And sort of the sole aim of the law was to stop people having these illegal raves. But I think people just sort of ignored it and carried on anyway.
Yeah, it's so funny that it's actually related to BPM. Because you have to prove that was exactly that BPM.
I'm just
not
imagining
35, but 30.
Yeah, they're like sort of calculating it.
It's like, oh no, I'm playing halftime. It's not 170, it's 84 or something. No, that's so basically like law does not apply to DJing.
Not in my experience. I guess maybe licensing issues, like clubs have to pay a license for people to play music. And I'm sure like as DJs we should probably pay licenses, but I think that's probably wrapped up in when we like buy the track. I guess it raises like an interesting point, like, and I've got a counter question for you guys about the law of music, and about that specific law. Like, do you guys think that the UK government, or like in your experience, governments in general, are they that pro electronic music, or do you think like?
So it depends on the government. So I was doing my undergrad in Rotterdam, which is Netherlands, and it really changed because at some point the premier minister had a son who was really into electronic music. So they were very chill with the events and pro events. But I think then when it changed and there was a new person, he was really strict on it, which is completely counterintuitive because Netherlands is a lot about electronic music and, gabber, techno. Yeah. It's a lot of hard electronic music. But yeah, obviously people are not happy, and people were doing protests. There were protests when a truck would have a massive sound system and people were dancing around it, and it was like, yeah, like, don't silence us, bring back the parties, you know. But I guess, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing.
I don't know, because where I'm from, Spain, Catalonia, it's like I don't think they care enough. Like the government doesn't really care. There's obviously quite a bit of like illegal raves and stuff going about, but like I've never heard any news that were like, oh, the government imposing rules.
Yeah.
In general, any like stuff related to electronic music and like streaming, piracy, stuff like that, they don't really put attention to it. They care more about building flats and stuff.
That's cool.
Just
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah, I guess it also comes because in the Netherlands, there are a lot of issues they should focus on. And sometimes, like, trying to focus on electronic music is also distracting people from the real issues that are happening, you know? When there is a person ranting about how bad is it we have parties and creating this whole, like, unhappiness around youth, like, among youth, right? It gets so much attention that it does not always deserve, and it drives attention from the real issues they're facing with, like a housing crisis, for example. You know, so I think it's like a part of a system. It's politics, but
Especially when in like somewhere like the Netherlands, like you have like so much club tourism, and like people go to club. Like you're going to remove a lot of the country's GDP if you
yeah.
take away the clubbing.
But then at the same time, sometimes people, when they go to clubs, they get drunk and they violate the rules. And you also want to prevent them. Like, it was quite fun because I think at some point people were talking about that Netherlands want to have a law that prohibits UK tourists to come around like certain times.
We have a terrible reputation abroad.
Like, I don't know, it's probably like a rumor and kind of a meme at this point. But because, yeah, people would come to Amsterdam, red light district, right? Get drunk and just do things that government wasn't happy with.
It's definitely that question of like legality. It's a whole world. I mean, you obviously know, you studying law, but yeah, and I was also interested in like, for example, like whenever I publish any set online on YouTube, it's always like, this section is copyrighted. This section, like, what am I supposed to? Am I just supposed to play non-copyright like songs?
It depends on the owner of the music. So some artists will have different rules that are protecting their music. So when you're copyright sort of blocked, it means the artist doesn't want their music anywhere but their page. But sometimes you'll be allowed to keep it up but demonetized, right?
Yeah.
And I think you have to declare when you're uploading the video that it contains copyrighted material. If you do that, you're fine, because then YouTube will just automatically demonetize it. It's more when people are making money off like a set where the contents of it are like not their own. That's where like it'll get struck down.
Because I've definitely had tracks where like it's even like blocked in some territories. So it's definitely all of this world of copyright. I guess I've uploaded quite a few sets online. I'm not gonna make any money whatsoever. It's DJ struggles.
Yeah, SoundCloud's the way to go with sets, in my opinion.
Oh, but with SoundCloud, if you have a free account, you can only upload 3 hours.
Yeah, I took the hit a long time ago and just bought SoundCloud Pro.
Yeah, me too. Because it's also so annoying when you're looking for music and it's ads constantly, and they are there constantly. They're there like
and
every
also
5
some
minutes.
songs you can only get on Go Plus. Like there are some really good songs that you can only get with the Pro account, so I think it's worth it.
Oh, fair, yeah.
It's definitely expensive though. It's like, I saw it was like 75 a year, but then it increased to something even more expensive.
Really?
So I think when I locked it in for multiple years at the same price, and then I just got rid of my Apple Music subscription. So it's cheaper than Apple Music's like 120 a year.
Oh wow.
You get all the same songs on SoundCloud.
And some rare exclusive edits and bootlegs.
The only
Right.
annoying thing about SoundCloud is if you like type one letter wrong in the name, you're not going to find the song. Like you have to, your spelling has to be like on point.
Have you found any like? So you were talking about that edit that took so long to find. Has that happened like other times, or have you found like some kind of, let's say, like rare tune that you're like, oh my gosh, what
All the
is that?
time. It's like, I don't know, maybe like as a kid, because I liked Pokemon so much, and like finding a rare Pokemon was like the ultimate like discovery. When you discover a track that you think is amazing, and then you look and it's got like 5,000 listens. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
no one's going to have heard this. And also, like, I don't know, like, you guys are both DJs. I don't think people realize what DJs do. It's like sometimes I'll play a track that's an edit and people will think I'm live mixing the track. And like people will be like, oh my God, like he's an amazing DJ. And like, I'm like only one fader is up. Like I am not doing anything here. But people sort of have this perception that DJing is a lot more difficult than it actually is.
Yeah, it is so true. And also with the transitions and with the drops, you never know. You might be doing actually all these drops, but most of the times you don't. You're just playing a song and you're just like, vibing there and choosing the next song and clicking something, and people think you are creating the drop real time.
Yeah.
It's definitely one side of the argument, because I've read people online being like, oh, DJs don't do anything. They only press play and fade to next. Like, what do you think about that? Do you think it's like a real art, or it's just, because I remember reading somebody comparing it to like, if you're a painter, that's gets some merit, but if you're just a gallery owner, you're just putting paintings up. It's kind of like you're not really doing much. You're just giving it a space.
But I mean, the gallery owner still has to pick what paintings that people want to see. I think that's where the art of DJing lies. I think we'll all agree that producing is about 1,000 times harder than DJing is, technically. But I think there's a certain skill to reading a dance floor. And if 90% of DJing is what have you got on your USB stick and how well can you read a crowd? Like mixing itself is not difficult whatsoever, unless you're like really getting into like D&B and you're dropping doubles and triples. Like that's difficult. But like reading a crowd and like knowing, like, I'm sure you've all had times where the crowd has not reacted to anything and you're like really, really struggling to get anything out of them. And then you've had times where like every single song you've picked has been perfect for that moment. And it's building up not just for your set, but if you're in the middle of two DJs, like I think that's really hard because you have to lead on from what that DJ's just done into your set, which means your first two songs might not be songs you want to play, but it's songs that will lead into your set. And then the last two songs are songs you have to be respectful of the next DJ. So you're not obviously like playing like 170 BPM when your next DJ is a house DJ. So you have to like be recognizing what they're going to play, which means if you've got a 1 hour set, if two of your songs at the start are taken and two of your songs at the end are taken, you've got what, half an hour to play with? And that's where the art of like, okay, can I build up and then drop a classic? Can I play something that's really current? Can I like have a different twist on it? And I think that's where the skill sort of lies in DJing.
100%. I was going to go to the question. So do you have any residencies right now?
So residency wise, obviously, because I own Spotlight, I sort of always put myself on the lineup, which I guess is like another debate. I've done Slip Disc quite a few times, but I'm not sure if it's like a residency or not. Like I'm on a few of their lineups. Arc Sock, I've done a couple of times. And then I'm like booked for the same sort of Mabels just based on like past year performances. Mm-hmm. I think the concept of like a residency in Cambridge is quite limited because you don't have weekly events. The only real residency is DJing the student night, and that is how many Taylor Swift songs you have in a USB stick.
Yeah. Or like, yeah, some smaller venues have sometimes like Roll On and stuff, but
2648, great on a Friday. They do great techno nights, but they have their like 50-year-old sort of Dutch and German residents, so there's no real chance of getting in there.
Taylor Swift keeps appearing on every episode. It's
people love Taylor Swift.
I actually have a friend that listens to this, and he's always like, "Yo, you mentioned Taylor Swift." Big fan.
Drink every time you mention Taylor Swift on a podcast.
I was gonna bring it up because topic money.
Yep.
It's a bit taboo, I'd say, but how did you start? What was, you don't need to say like exact numbers, but because
I'm happy going into it.
You said your first gig you got paid.
Yep.
And how has that evolved into, like, what is your price more or less? How do you manage all of that?
So it is completely non-linear, and it's on an event-by-event basis. So the most I've ever been paid for a set is £200 for 1 hour, and I've done stuff for free for charity and stuff. The first gig was £75 for 1 hour, which is like for a DJ pretty good for starting out. Your flat rate for BOPs, which for those of you who don't know are like student events at colleges, is £30 an hour. And that's like pretty consistent across the board. Some of the the bigger brands in Cambridge will pay you 50. I've been paid, I mean, recent payments have been like 50 for an hour, 30, 35, 40. It's that sort of range. And then Mabels, you can push a little bit more. So Mabel's typically I'll get like 100 for an hour, or I'll do it in exchange for a free ticket. And because the tickets are worth like 200, 250 quid, like that's probably like better value. But I'd say like I think I've made in total from DJing, if you don't like my event aside, probably about 3.5 grand, 4 grand. And when I was like worried initially from like recouping my initial investments on decks, like now I'm sat here talking like that, like it's like a kind of like a proud moment. But
sound like an investor.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't think it's about the money. Like whenever people ask me like how much, like what's your like rate, I'll always say 30 to 40 an hour. That's like a typical answer. But it's always, and like a tip for a DJ, like if someone is asking you what your rate is, like never be the first one to say a number, because you want them, I've asked them like, okay, what's your budget? Like, what do you want from me? Like, am I curating a vibe? Am I doing something different? Let them come up with the first number, because it might be you're selling yourself short. Because as like a business owner, if someone comes back and says, yeah, I'll do 20 an hour, and you were willing to pay them 100, you're not going to go, oh, don't worry, I'll pay you 100. But so always let them make the first offer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if they make the offer, wouldn't they try to like lowball you, like say, oh yeah, we can, as you said, offer you I guess.
It gives you scope to negotiate, right? So if you have no idea what their sort of range is, and you say, okay, you give me an offer, and they say, oh, our budget is 30, then you know, okay, factoring in for the lowball, realistically, they're not going to fight over 10, 20 quid. So you go, oh, like, I really appreciate the offer, but I value my time more than that, or I've got like other interests on that night. Would you be willing to go to 40? And then it might be initially you were only ever going to ask for 20, but then you can like see how far you can push it. And obviously it's very dependent on the event itself. If you know the event is like trying to raise money for a good cause, like I never ask for money from charity events, even if I'm offered, because I just think like it just takes away from the charity. And if it's like a student run thing, like I'd never really try and push it. But as like someone who owns an event, I've always tried to pay my DJs fairly as well, like recognizing that like you sort of have to like appreciate the skill that's going into it, and someone's like putting their time sort of up.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of gigs then, so for example, you said you did a lot of stuff for Mabel's.
Yep.
Would that be more like your music, or is it like just a playlist basically?
Oh no, so I've always said that my number one rule since I began is I refuse to play pop music. So no matter how much I get paid, like I'm like, it's just not my thing. And that might sound a bit snobby, but I've always said, like, if you want me to play pop music, just play a playlist. You don't need a DJ. Like, there's no need to have a DJ standing there. It's just like an image. And I don't want to be like construed as an image. So if I'm DJing the stuff I want to play. And that's always been the way I've approached it, because it's sort of important to maintain your own personal identity with your music. And if people know you as a DJ, they don't realize you've been told you have to DJ a specific genre. So they're going to think like, oh, why is he playing pop music? That's so weird. So if you just always only do gigs that let you play what you want to play, I feel like that's a sort of better way of establishing yourself within a certain genre.
Yeah, that's a good point. How do you feel about what is your process of creating a mix? Do you create it on the fly? So, for example, reading the crowd and then understanding what to play, or do you create them in advance? And how do you feel about creating your mix in advance?
So, I think there is a good middle ground to get. Knowing your USB stick is the number one most important thing, and that really like comes from categorization. So having like different folders that aren't just house, techno, D&B, but like, okay, slow house, rhythmic house, melodic house, progressive house, and then you want like a bangers like playlist, you want like a bangers remix playlist. What I like to do is I like to respect the brands that I'm playing for. So whenever I play for Slip Disc, I go, okay, let me go and look at the mixes that Slip Disc have put out. Okay, like it's quite sort of techno garagey focused. I'm going to try and do a techno garage mix, because you want them to maintain their brand image. And I'll always ask the same of Spotlight DJs, like, okay, like if I booked you and you're like a D&B DJ, fair enough. The brief for this event is house, so try and stay within that range. I think that just helps make a better night, because you don't get clashes between sets and stuff. So I'll always sort of try and stick to their ideal sort of music. And then in terms of pre-preparing, like I think crowd reading is really important. So say I've got an hour set, that's 15 songs. I'll have a playlist that I've pre-prepared with 50 on it, and then within that I'll free mix.
And at what point would you recommend people to just stick with a Spotify playlist? Because I've seen some events where you just think, oh yeah, like you could have just put like a phone with a playlist, and that would have been more than enough.
Yeah.
What point is that?
I think when you're just playing chart hits or throwback songs or like really like consistently bait tunes, like there's nothing wrong with a bait tune every now and then if it's dropped at like the right time. But if you're playing like 2 hours of Calvin Harris, David Guetta, Tiesto, like I'm not sure you need a DJ. Like people don't care about the curation of songs they haven't heard before. They just hear about hearing like that song that they know. And like if like people are really drunk, they're not listening to like I've heard some like terrible mixes where it's been saved by the fact that people have recognized a note from like a really famous song and have just started screaming the song that's coming in. That you're there to give people a good night, but I think you can do that with a playlist.
So, okay, what was one of your worst nights?
Ooh.
What happened? Because you talk about people being drunk and like stuff like that.
Yeah, just like the highlight of
Yeah.
your worst experience.
So it was actually October of this year. I just bought my new Mac for production, but the place I was DJing at didn't have their own deck, so like, oh, can you bring your own? And as you guys know, DDJ 400s run off a Mac or a like whatever computer you have. 2 minutes into the set, someone spills a pint of lemonade over my USB stick and my new Mac. Everything stops working. I have to stop DJing. USB stick corrupted with 2,000 songs on it. Wasn't backed up, so I had to start again from the beginning of like curating my USB stick. And USB port completely broken on my computer, so I had to get that repaired. And that was 2 minutes in, so that was like an expensive
Oh my
night.
god!
That is no good.
Did they still pay you for your like for an hour?
They paid me for the hour, but that covered about a tenth of like the total repair costs.
Oh my god! And they
But-
didn't pay you for like MacBook or anything?
Well, to be fair, like it was mainly it wasn't mainly my fault, but like the number one rule is don't have drinks near your computer or near your decks, and I sort of let someone get too close, and then it was game over.
Were the decks fine? The 400?
Those DJ 400s can go through absolutely anything. They like I've like lost like buttons, and like mine look like a transformer now. Like they've got like buttons missing, like
Oh yeah.
sticky and stuff, and they still work.
I've definitely the crossfader on mine completely disintegrated. Like just it was coming back to like the very beginning. Like I remember touching the FLX4. it feels cheap.
It does, doesn't it?
It's like the 400 feels very robust, and the FLX4 just feels like just not good quality.
The one thing I will say about the FLX4, you know, on the DDJ BPM fader, it will never go up in increments of 0.01.
Oh yeah.
It goes up in like 0.06, and so but it's rats. So like I'm like flinging it back and forth to try and match the BPMs. FLX4s will go up in increments of 1, so you can match it exactly very quickly. Whereas obviously, as we know, the 400s are terrible for that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's a problem of the hardware itself. It's just not precise. And for example, for mine, one of the speed tempo sliders is tweaking because it's just broken or something. So it's not good. Yeah. So okay, we have a second tune.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So
What is the second tune?
I'll give a bit of backstory. So I went to Joris Vaughan at Fabric. Fabric, which I think has the best sound system in the UK. And he dropped this track called Blinding Lights. Really lovely bass line, sort of always a massive crowd pleaser. And yeah, quite a different song to what I'd usually play. So what I'll do is I'll build up with a lot of house and then surprise everyone with this. So enjoy it.
Nice. Let's get surprised.
Blinding
Yes, that was very nice.
Yes, it was a good one. Okay, as we're coming to the end of our episode, it's time to answer some questions from
Got
the
some
audience.
questions.
Yes.
Oh, and our own question as well.
Yes, and our own question as well. So, okay, we'll go one by one. I'll ask you first, and then Luke goes.
Let me use WhatsApp.
Oh, wait, just close the questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go first.
Who
'cause I
asked
lost
this
mine.
one? I just moved to London and want to go out. What is your favorite venue in town?
Used to be Printworks for like the really long corridor, gave a really good vibe to the night. I'd say if you want like a hard-hitting rave, go to Fabric, but be prepared for airport-style security. And if you want something a bit lighter, go to Coco in Camden, which is like it's an old-fashioned building. It's got sort of balconies. I think it used to be a theatre. And they do quite cool events there now. Quite expensive though. You're in London now. You're looking at 30 quid for an event.
Expensive, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good point. Okay, next one. Where in UK should I go if I want to party hard?
Leeds.
Leeds.
I think
Straight up.
the North party harder. There's a place called Mint Warehouse in Leeds, which I think up there with the best right now in the UK. There's a place called Loft in Manchester, which does some really cool minimal house stuff. And if you want somewhere a bit different, just the people are friendlier up north, like the pints are cheaper. The weather's worse, but who really cares when you're indoors in a sweaty rave? So I'd say up north.
Definitely. Every time I look on Insta stories, I always see, oh yeah, Polo Lily is in Manchester right now, or like got like all of these other artists. Like, why?
Yeah, we should go to Manchester. We should do a podcast and maybe a Manchester
Definitely.
episode. we
Special
film
edition.
and go out. Yeah.
And we have
Okay. Yes. The last question is: what is your DJ ick?
My DJ ick is
Yes.
requests.
Fair.
Probably quite a common one, but when like someone will come up and like request a song, sort of requests in general I don't like. If someone does like a cool request, which is like sort of fits your night, or like if you're at a house party, requests are fine because you're there to like sort of be in the background. But if you're at an event and someone comes up and like request like a song which is nothing like what you're playing, and like you've been told to like curate a specific thing, and sort of like drunkenly hovering over you like a Jaeger bomb over your decks, like nothing annoys me more. So I'd say that's my DJ ick.
Yeah, Taylor Swift. In short.
no, don't say that. You'll get cancelled.
Okay.
Okay.
It's time to wrap it up. But before we do it, we have a special announcement.
We mentioned it during the podcast.
Let's give the mic to our guest.
Yeah.
So, in sort of collection with the podcast, if you guys repost like any of the clips they put out from this episode, we'll send you a special promo code to get 20% off sort of the next Spotlight event that we do. I directed the camera, and that'll make sort of your night more cheap. We'll make sure we get our podcast host there as well, so you can meet and greet the family.
Yes.
And
yes.
just give you guys a special discount.
Yeah. That's
Nice. Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot for this special opportunity and for coming today. I think we
Thank
had
you
a
for having
great
me.
chat.
It was definitely very interesting to see it from a point of view of somebody who's just been around the UK and DJ
Yeah,
and
running
had their own-
nights. And where people can find you.
Oh yeah, plugs.
Instagram at Thomas J Edmondson, at Spotlight Nights is the event, and then at edmo.dj is my DJ Instagram. So feel free to follow me on anything.
Yes.
Nice. And where people can find us, Luke.
Every time. Okay. At Cam Up and Coming, and on YouTube and probably TikTok soon. Oh, we need to do the TikTok.
And Spotify.
And
yeah, many things
Spotify,
on
just-
the list.
Cambridge
Okay.
Up and Coming.
Yes. Thank you all for watching us and have a good evening, morning, day. Bye bye.
Bye.